Well, kia ora and welcome everyone to a sunny Hawke's Bay here at the Potts Track and Field Classic at the Mitre 10 Sports Park in Hawke's Bay, where the sun is shining and we are kicking off 2021 in style with athletics live on the skysportnext coverage here on YouTube. So it's great to have your company. My name's Hayden Sherman. With me on Expert Comments is Terry Lomax in studio. Good to have you here, Terry.
Thanks, Hayden. It's, as you said, it's a beautiful Hawke's Bay day. Hopefully the performances can match the weather.
Absolutely. And so as far as this weather, we always have to kick off a bit of a weather discussion in the athletics, because you never know what you're going to get as you travel around the country to these key meets. But so far it's pretty good. We've probably got how would you call it? It's not light. It's not a light westerly, maybe a steady
cross tail breeze running down the track.
Yeah, so that'll sort of be coming straight into their into the window of the hammer throw nets there. But certainly you would imagine it shouldn't affect the hammer throw girls too much. So this is going to be the focus for our coverage on the hammer throw circle as we kick off the afternoon and evenings coverage. So as you can see there, the hammer, elite men and elite women, and the triple jump. So whenever you see an elite on the program, that means it is one of the permit events, which means it just carries, as far as I understand it, carries more points for qualification and has a certain level of quality in the field. So we will be focusing more on those permit events. So if you have tuned in to catch the triple jump, which is also happening, we will be focusing more on the hammer throw, which features two women who are right up there on the world standings. Two Kiwi girls who are in the top 10 in the world. And so Lauren Bruce is probably the first one to talk about of those two. As you can see, Nicole Bradley just come into the circle. She's number 3, so we also need to talk about her. But let's talk, Terry, first of all about Lauren Bruce and Julia Ratcliffe.
Yeah, well, they're our two best all-time throwers, and Nicole, by the way, is our third best. So we've got the top 3 performers ever in this event competing, which is just great news. But Julia and Lauren, there's not much that separates them, and they've been handing New Zealand records backwards and forwards between each other in recent times.
Resumed this afternoon with 2 events: the horizontal jumps, the triple jump for men and women on the far straight, and the men's and women's hammer throw, which has got some exciting lineups. Lauren Bruce from South Canterbury.
So let's run through the start list of this women's hammer throw competition. So we just saw on screen Nicole Bradley. We've also got Lauren Bruce, Lexi Maples, who we had in the javelin just earlier, Sentane Noom Duckworth, Nadja Kumarich, Elizabeth Hewitt, Caitlin Shepperson, Nicole Bradley, and Iorana Taufafu Tafili. And there was Iorana just getting her afternoon underway with her first throw. So yeah, Lauren Bruce, she's 23 years old, and through that phenomenal 73.47. Were you up here back in September, Terry, when that went down?
No, I missed that one. I was down in Christchurch, but it was waiting to happen, I think, is probably how Dale would describe it. Based on the winter build-up that she had, things were looking good, and that was an ideal opportunity to see the effect of the training that she'd had over the COVID winter.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And so do you get to see a bit of her in training and sort of see how that form's progressing? Because obviously for the last 2 years she's just been going forward in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I think she made a big decision around what was required to commit to a high performance level, and she's taken that on very strongly and very well. And yeah, I see her often in the weight room, and she's pushing some pretty heavy tin in the weight room, and in training getting some decent distances out.
So there was Max Abbott from Karori in Wellington. So one of our several juniors lining up in the men's field. So we've got Max Abbott, Hano Nell, Caleb Soller, who just won the javelin earlier this afternoon, Anthony Nobilo and Liam Narchuk-Wolf. So the New Zealand Secondary Schools champ, crowned back in December in Tauranga. He had a fantastic weekend actually. Took the, I want to say the triple win. Did he in the hammer? Let me just check this. He definitely won the shot put, and I'm just going to go through my little results list. And here we go. Yeah, so Liam Narchuk-Wolf won the shot put and the hammer throw, but I think he got second in the discus. So that was a phenomenal weekend of the rotational throws.
Yes, of which obviously shot put has now become.
Yeah. And it'll be good to talk about all the evolving technique, but it is one of the things we've seen more of is the rotational technique and less of the gliding across the circle.
Yeah, well, being of a vintage where when the Fosbury flop took over in the high jump,
yeah,
when I was a youth, and I think the same thing's going to happen in the shot. It will be well, if not exclusive, very close to the exclusive technique that will be used in the future.
Yeah. So Hano Nell getting his day underway. He's one of the local boys from Hastings Athletics, just 17 years of age. And so, let's talk, Terry, a bit about your background. So you were a high jumper back in the day, and a very popular man by the sounds of it. And so, and then high jump, but now you're coaching across the board. We were talking before we went on the air. You're coaching some distance runners and throwers, multi-eventers.
Yeah, I like to describe myself as an athletics coach.
Yeah.
More than a jumps coach or a combined events coach or whatever. It really, the athlete that presents themselves to me, what event do they do? What's the area of potential, and work on that. And if it happens to be jumping, that's fine. And if it happens to be 800 metre running, again.
Cool. And for those who are wondering, what is your personal best in the high jump?
2 metres 15.
Wow.
And Hayden will remind me, I have to point out that it'll be 40 years on Monday since I did that, which is a bit scary.
But obviously good to see Hamish Kerr getting well up into the 230s now. He had an exciting night at the Night of Fives where he was pushing for that Olympic qualifier.
It was a bit of a bonus. I mean, we were expecting to jump well, but not as well as he did because he'd had a few niggles that he was dealing with. But he got his stuff together really well on that night, and I think that moved him up to 14th ranked in the world, which is the level he needs to be at if he wants to get to the Olympics, let alone perform at it.
So on screen here we have Caleb Soller, who took out the javelin earlier this afternoon. That started at 12. We actually had a big day of athletics already with race walks starting very early this morning. So the team here have done a fantastic job keeping the marshals busy. And we'll go through those results from earlier in the day as we see Caleb just spinning around, gets the hammer out cleanly. So it's good to have your company as we kick off a new year in athletics, 2021. Hopefully it will be an Olympic year, but that's really one of the big focuses. Regardless of whether an Olympics does happen, one of the key focuses this year is seeing how many Olympic qualifiers we can see, and that'll be driving a lot of the athletes today, Terry.
Oh, definitely. With the uncertainty of the Olympics, but athletes still have to approach the competition season as if the Olympics are going to happen, and look to do qualifying performances or get their rankings high enough to make it to the Olympics. And I think the big bonus for us has been, and it's illustrated at a meet like this and was illustrated at the Night of Fives, is that all our top athletes are here and they're competing.
So Liam Narchuk-Wolf, he's your National Secondary Schools champ, and that looks like a good opener from him. Gets the white flag. And so just running through the start list for the men, we've got Max Abbott, Han Ornell, Caleb Solar, Anthony Nobilo, and Liam Narchuk-Wolf. And there on screen, in the foreground, Lauren Bruce, your national record holder. I'm so excited about this hammer throw competition, and obviously these two girls, Lauren and Julia, are good mates. And I read an interview. It was a really good piece by stuff.co.nz about this hammer competition. It was great to see athletics really featuring high in the sports news. But these two are really looking forward to competing against each other, and really glad to have that company. So obviously our borders are closed, so we don't have that often in the throws. We've got a bunch of overseas athletes joining us for the summer, but this time we've got genuine world-class athletes competing, and they're all Kiwis. It's brilliant.
Yes, it's great to see. And I think one of the things that came out of the article, Julia, was embracing the fact that she had someone pushing her, whereas in the past she didn't.
All right, Lauren Bruce, here we go. Getting those clockwise spins going, and there it looks like it's out towards that 70 metre mark.
So she hooked that one a wee bit. Talking with Dale, her coach, yesterday, one of the things she's working with is trying to not let the hammer control her. And he talks technically about when the hammer's at its high point, she doesn't want to follow it. She's got to stay underneath it,
right,
so that she's controlling the hammer head.
And does that kind of mean staying nice and low, using your quads to control the movement? And
yeah, that's a number of complex systems going on there, because the hammer goes high, it's pulling you up.
Yeah.
You've got to resist against that, but when it swings down, it's also pulling you down, and you've got to be able to resist that in a way you can maintain your balance, apply force when you can, which is when you're in contact with the ground.
Yep.
And try and get the whole system working together. When she was doing her training session yesterday, what was very noticeable was how central in the sector her throws were going, and that throw there was a bit of a hook, so she obviously didn't have quite the same balance that she wants in the throw, and hence 67.96. And
so obviously we've got a gentle breeze, mild breeze blowing across the ground. It is, and the hammer itself is a heavy old ball, so that won't be too affected. But like you say, that control, you can see Lexi Maples there, how hard it is to maintain that balance and control as you're spinning with that weight pulling you down and up and sideways.
Yeah, well, the fact that you've got a wire and a handle hanging off the end of it, it's not aerodynamic.
Yeah.
And so wind does affect it to a degree, and it's only in recent times that sufficient studies have been done to understand that it is actually a positive advantage in the hammer having a tailwind, despite the fact that it weighs 4 kgs, or in the men's 7.6. So you don't want a headwind.
Yeah.
Crosswind, well, not quite so bad, I suppose, but you still got to throw the thing properly.
But I imagine one of the big bonuses today is just the warmth of the conditions here, so it's not going to be too hard to stay nice and warm, keep those muscles primed between rounds.
Yeah, there are very few athletes who like competing in the cold. Marathon runners perhaps, but certainly not explosive field events athletes. You know, the fact that it makes them feel a bit more freer, a bit more open, definitely does help. The joints work better in hot conditions than they do in cold ones.
Yeah. So last year at the same event, Julia Ratcliffe set the New Zealand record then of 72.35. That, of course, has been beaten by just over a metre, but here she goes, and just clipping the net on the way out, but that looks like it might be just out beyond the 60 metre mark still. But just, getting the red flag on that one.
I think she walked out of the front of that one, realised it wasn't the greatest throw, and come back for another battle later.
So we saw Julia there maybe releasing a little bit too early, so hitting the net, and whereas we saw Lauren, as you say, just hooking it round. Do we often see that with these throws, that there is so much going on? Does it take a little bit of time to just settle in and into your work, and you often see the biggest throws coming towards the middle and end?
Yeah, I think Ham is one of the classic events for everything happening at the end. Either it happens in the first round where someone absolutely nails it, or they just build up momentum over the competition. Everybody gets excited and starts attacking it more and more as they get used to the rhythm.
All right, so Centane, Noom, Duckworth coming into the circle. Your National Secondary Schools champ from back in December. So with the junior implement, she was out to 56 metres in that competition.
Yeah, so when you think about it, she was throwing a 3 kg hammer at secondary schools, and she's moved up to a 4 kg. That's a pretty large increase for an athlete to handle in an event like this.
And I imagine not just the power aspects, but also that technique, feeling the difference of that weight as you're spinning around the circle.
Yes, because obviously it's an explosive event. You want to have speed, and a heavier implement is going to slow you down. And that's why the top girls like Lauren and Julia won't just be throwing 4 kg hammers in training. They'll be throwing 3s, to try and emulate that speed, the sort of speed that they want.
So 46.88 there for Centane. And really good opportunity for these other ladies in the competition. Obviously we've got the top 3 with Lauren, Bruce and Julia and Nicole. But these other ladies, it's a really great opportunity to have that quality, world-class competition and seeing how they do it. I imagine that's just dream scenario for a lot of these younger competitors.
I think it's great that they see their role models there, and they see that they're normal people.
Yeah.
And that if they can do it, then why can't, if those athletes can do it, why can't I do it? And I think the other big bonus for them is that they see the processes that the athletes go through, how they concentrate prior to going into the circle, the things that they do in between throws, all those little things which, when you're at top level, you need to have control over.
So there you can see Lauren Bruce has the edge, and this is the big battle. It's the Lauren versus Julia show. And can Nicole get in amongst it? Because at the moment, I think we're still within her PB range. Well, her personal best is 67.11, so just outside of that. But that was set back in January 2020, so let's see if she can get in there. And remember, Nicole Bradley, she is 5-time New Zealand champion. She's no slouch. This is the quality of this field. It's so great to see.
And the hope is that with the others starting off a bit slower in this competition, she takes advantage of that and has a sense that she's capable of taking them.
So you see the officials just changing the net. So obviously they need to be changed depending which way the thrower is spinning.
Yep. So the sector lines are actually cut off by the cage.
Right.
So if you're a right-hand thrower, it's the left-hand side will be closed in, because the biggest risk safety-wise is a hammer that is hooked. And you don't want it hooking out and landing on the track and causing mayhem over there. So that closes in. And of course, because they're throwing a ball that's attached to the end of a wire, they're not likely to hit it straight down the line of the inside line of the sector.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if it's closed. It'll swing around it anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. So the right-handers typically will rotate anti-clockwise.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Think about that one for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, and the left's obviously
they'll turn
the other
left.
Way. Yes.
They'll turn
right.
left.
Yeah.
The left-handers will turn right.
So you've basically got your strongest hand at the back as you release, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so a right hander will have their left hand holding the handle with their right hand sitting on top.
Yeah.
The left hand will be the one that has the glove in it.
So it's almost like a cricket batsman. If you're doing a hook shot, it's the same direction if you're right-handed.
Yep.
You'd be releasing it the same way. And I imagine it's one of those things like skateboarding or surfing. You kind of got to work out what feels right for each throw.
I have a term which I use for high jumpers. It's called goofies, and I know, and they do that for surfing and those sorts of things. Where, for me, it's a person who's right-handed should take off on their left foot because it jumps a kick. So you'd kick with your right foot. But we have goofies who are right-handed who take off on their right leg.
Okay.
And
we'll approach from the left-hand side.
Yes. And we've got a couple of goofies, and the two boys who did well at the New Zealand secondary schools are both goofies.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. But you don't get many the other way.
Yeah, and the word's obviously nothing to do with their skill.
Oh no,
it's just
far from.
I think it came out of the surfing terminology back in the day.
Yep.
Oh, so that one hitting the net. So glad we have the nets, and obviously the nets actually need to be a certain height, don't they, for the hammer throw? Because it can be pretty dangerous when you've got these heavy balls flying through the.
I think they go as high as 10 metres.
Wow.
It is 10 metres for the top one. And this is actually the farewell of this hammer cage at this facility, because they've got a new one coming in
for nationals
in time for the national champs. So this is the farewell competition for the Hastings cage.
So you can see on screen just that wind picking up a little bit. It's sort of come and gone all day. It's out of the west. The forecast is actually for sea breezes, so that would be going the other direction. So hopefully we get a bit of a cancellation of the two as the day kicks on. And Caitlin Shepperson. So I just worked out the average age for this women's field. It's only 21 years old.
Yes, Julia and Nicole are the old ladies at 27 and 28.
Yeah. Which is so cool. And it's one of the things that I just love about New Zealand athletics right now. It's not just running or track events. The throws and the field events are just so strong. And you can genuinely come to an athletics event anywhere in New Zealand and have something to watch all over the ground. So it's a great sport to be tuned into, and there's a good smattering of the crowd who have come here nice and early to catch this action, and have bought their picnic chairs, bought their sunscreen, and are ready for a fantastic afternoon of competition. So we're in round 2 at the moment of the hammer throw here at the Potts Classic. Round 1. We are in round 1, so that was a practice round earlier that we saw on screen. So, there we go. It is round 1. So that means the men went first, I'm assuming.
This is what I was talking about earlier about how athletes prepare for their throws, and for the young athletes, this is great to be able to witness this. They don't just rock up, pick up the hammer and wander in and start throwing. There's a lot of concentration goes, a lot of process happening.
So Nicole Bradley, she knows what she's doing. She's got 5 senior national titles, and she's just 5 meters behind Julia and 6 meters behind Lauren.
So there you go, that was a hook, and again you can see why you need a cage.
Yeah. And so when you're spinning like this, obviously they're going pretty quick. So are you doing like you would as a ballerina, where you're spotting each time you spin around, trying to keep that focus on?
Some athletes use the head of the hammer, the shot itself, as a spotting point, because they want at the bottom of the swing of the hammer, they want it to be centred.
Okay.
On where they are, so they're balanced. So Dale tells me anyway. And yeah, so from that viewpoint, the hammerhead registering where that is a similar sort of approach to spotting.
So Iorana Taufafu Tafili with her first throw. So we did see her earlier, but they were in their warm-up throws.
And I think again she's a younger athlete who normally throws a 3 kg, so she's having the challenge of a 4, which is illustrated in the distance not being up to her her personal best performance level.
Now Anthony Nobilo on screen, am I right in saying he's your reigning national champ?
Anthony Nobilo is, yeah, that's right. At 21 years of age.
Wow. It's another one of our just young talent coming through. Andy won in 2019 the senior title as well, so he had a best in 2020 of 61 metres, and his personal best is 64.93. Here he is. Can he take that lead back off Liam Nachok-Wolf? Great speed through the circle. Holds on, and that's around that 60 metre mark.
So he built up his speed very well in his turns there, and obviously you want the greatest speed at release of the hammer, and covered across the circle, which is another thing, of course, that you need to have. You don't want to be thrown from the back of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be just pivoting around in one spot. You've got to be applying force to take you across the circle and to deal with the hammer itself. So again, as the competition progresses, the athletes become more confident. They can be more aggressive in their throws.
So from a training point of view, obviously with this being a rotational sport, what does it look like in the gym when you're trying to build this strength? When the traditional lifts, your squats and cleans and what have you are sort of omnidirectional. You're not having to twist. So 59.05 there.
And yes, the orthodox Olympic lifts are still done, but there's a lot more innovation in training now, and that's being based in Christchurch and seeing all the things that Dale's group and the others are trying. There's a lot more emphasis on rotational strength and all sorts of wonderful little exercises that have been invented to make that happen.
So I guess the medicine ball gets a good working over.
Yeah,
slammed into a few walls.
but it's amazing what you can do with a barbell.
Yeah,
and they try things.
Yeah.
Anything that brings in the movement that might happen in the throw is going to be useful.
Yeah. And what's that? The barbell. That's one end of it's attached to the floor where you can kind of throw it around.
Yeah, I call it a pivot bar, and we actually
Yeah.
use that for our high jump training as well.
Great.
We could do stuff on a curve because of the effect of the bar pivoting around. And the throwers all do lots of exercise. They can do shot put with it, and in fact, even the cricketers who come in have started using it and using those, because there's, of course, hitting a ball is a rotational activity as well.
So it's great to have your company here from Mitre 10 Park in the Hawke's Bay at the Potts Classic. Remembering, of course, Sylvia and Alan Potts, just two very well-known and influential athletics personalities from the Bay. And beautiful conditions to open up another year of athletics. Just the sun is shining, it's warm, probably mid to late 20s out there, 26, 27 degrees, and it's just a mild breeze blowing across the track. And we've got a absolutely stunning lineup of athletics to come tonight. So as a bit of an overview of where we're heading from after the hammer throw, we will take a little break, and then we'll be back to catch the 400 hurdles. We'll see Cameron French, the New Zealand record holder, leading that event, and then look down that list. Just some stunning events on the track to come with 100s, 800s, the 3,000 metres. Particularly the senior men's is just so stacked, like genuinely world-class field. So much to come. And of course, on the field, we've got the likes of Eliza McCartney making an appearance for the first time in, 18 months? It's been a while.
Yeah, June 2019, I think it was, that she did her last competition. So I'm sure she's really looking forward to it. She really likes competing here.
Yeah, set the national record here?
She did a 484 here in early 2019.
Right.
Off a 12 stride run up, not even a full run up.
Wow. So
I think she's excited by the possibility today.
One of the amazing things right now, when we talk of like national record holders, the number of national record holders, particularly in the field events that we've got competing today, is incredible. And even like in the women's throws, the only national record holder that we don't have competing is of course Beatrice Falmena, the great Beatrice, and the discus. So just incredible to have that lineup coming tonight.
And the throws, especially in the field events, that's where things have really taken off. And we are, one of the aims of Athletics New Zealand was for us to be seen as a world-class throwing country, and I think that's being established more and more. Not just shot putters, but hammer throwers. And of course, we've got a history of javelin throwers in the past as well, and discus throwers. So, we're certainly heading in the sort of direction that we want to.
So, what's driving this resurgence? And I mean, I could say Dame Val is probably a big motivator. How she's just lit up the world of shot put throwing, and then everyone sort of followed in her wake. But has there been anything from sort of a systematic point of view?
Well, the first thing was identifying where our talent lay and what events it suited. And we have this very strong Polynesian population, ethnic group that's very, very strong, very athletic, and throwing is perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
And then it's putting the resources into those areas, the coaching resources, the facilities, so that those athletes get exposed to it. They get identified, they get exposed, and we lift the level of coaching that they get. And I think that's really what has made this possible.
Oh, it's so exciting to see, and one of the really exciting talents on screen there is Liam Nachuk-Wolf. I saw him competing at the New Zealand Secondary Schools back in December, and man, what a talent. It'll be interesting to see what event he specialises in over the next few years. And is that one of the pathways as a thrower? You want to have a bit of variety as you're growing up, and then at a certain age decide which event you're gonna hone in on?
I think that the long-term athletic development model is that you become an athlete first, and then you become maybe a thrower.
Yeah. And
then you identify the throw that you're going to specialise in.
Sure.
And that's the accepted model. There's always exceptions to it, but get someone like Lauren, who's on the screen now, who's former champion in the discus.
Yeah.
And a runner-up, I think, in the senior women's shot put.
So here she goes, the lefty, the leader of the competition so far. And this looks like a good one. Just going outside of bounds. We'll wait and see if we get a mark on that. Definitely shy of the 70 metre mark, but it may improve her 67.
Yeah, I think they've gone a red flag on that one. So that's unusual for her to using golf parlance, slice a throw, throw it that far out to the right. So there must have been something that wasn't quite right. The hammer was perhaps behind her, so when she pulled to release, the hammer still hadn't arrived and went out to the side. Again, I'll check with my experts on how accurate I am in that technical description, but gives us a bit of an idea of thought.
So we had Lexi Maples in the javelin competition, which was taken out by Tori Peters with a throw of, just looking up my notes, a throw of 56.25 earlier in the day. And Lexi,
she was second.
She was
second, just short of her personal best, 38. There you go,
1.5.
38.15.
There we go. Our production crew are so onto it. Amazing guys. All right, so here she goes back in the throws, this time in the hammer throw circle. And so exactly as you said, Terry, having that diversity across the throws, not just specialising in the javelin, which is obviously quite a different technique altogether, but Lexi's known as a decathlete in her heptathlete, I should say.
Yeah, so she moved down to Christchurch 3 years ago, I think it was, and was training with me and my combined events group, but I always suspected that she was going to be a thrower, but the advantage of all that training that she'd done means that she stepped into Dale's group, and she's got a good sound foundation of athleticism.
Great.
To move into this event, because you want athletic people in the throws.
All right, so Julia Ratcliffe, she loves this circle. She set the national record here this time last year. Let's see if she can firstly claim the lead in this competition. Try and nudge off Lauren. But this is the Lauren Julia battle here at Mitre 10 Park in Hawke's Bay. What has she got? Julia Ratcliffe releases. Good strong release, and that has gone over the 70 metre mark, but it is out. Well, good throw, but just going out of bounds.
So promising distance. You could see the speed of release of the hammer, the speed of her turns, but I suspect she just let the hammer get ahead of her slightly, and it caused her to hook it through the release, and that's what's happened. It's gone a couple of metres outside the sector, but it's still pushing 70 plus.
So will she be happy about that, like obviously seeing the hammer going so far, and maybe just a slight little technical thing to fix up?
Yep, I think so. Yeah, if it's not going very far and you haven't quite hit it technically, that's a lot more frustrating.
Yeah.
Though it is frustrating to see it go a long way and be outside the sector as well, but it should be just small adjustments that she's looking to make.
Okay, National Secondary Schools champ Centane Noom Duckworth now from North Harbour Bays. Now, of course, using the senior implement, adding a kg to that hammer.
So she's got a PB of 49.84, and I think that's probably with the 3 kg, and she's pushing up maybe 46, 47 with that throw now, so that's a pretty good effort with a noticeably heavier implement.
So beautiful scenes here at Mitre 10 Park. I had an amazing little run around Havelock North this morning, enjoying the blue skies, warm temperatures. Good change from the stormy weather I've had over on the other side of the island in Taranaki. So there you see 44.60 for Centane. And so far this season, I've got to say, the weather has been playing ball as far as the athletic season. The New Zealand secondary schools were beautiful weather like this. Then the night of fives up at the North Harbour Millennium Track was beautiful conditions as well, and once again here. And the great news is that the national champs are going to be back here on the first weekend of March. So if you haven't planned a little summer weekend away yet for the end of summer, book this one in, because even if you don't know someone competing, or you aren't competing yourself, that will be a fantastic weekend to come along and see a lot of our athletes who will be planning to head to the Olympics. Just genuinely world-class competition and so much to do in Hawke's Bay. It's a great place to come away to for a weekend.
And of course, the advantage with the national championships is you not only see all the top senior athletes across all the events, but you see all the up-and-coming talented youngsters as well. It's a real athletic festival.
Yeah. So it's not just the seniors, of course, it's the under-20s and under-18s. 3 days of non-stop action. I know it's non-stop because usually by about 12 o'clock on the Sunday my voice is dead. I'm sounding like a mix of a young Justin Bieber and an old Barry White. All right, back to the hammer throw circle. Looking like it's just skimming the nets there on the way out.
Yeah, I think she just lost her balance at the back of the circle and has stepped outside.
So also should do a recap as well. 7 a.m. this morning, that's when the meet kicked off officially with the race walk. So we had a 10,000 metres and a 20,000 metres, and taking out the 20,000 metres was Alana Barber in a unofficial new national record for the track 20,000 metres, which obviously isn't raced too often. So she walked 1:37 to win that event in a unofficial record 1:37.44, and Laura Langley came in second place in 1:50, I believe. So our officials doing a fantastic job being down here that early in the morning. It was great conditions though. It was perfectly still. That was when I was out on my run, and nice and cool as well, so 12 or 13 degrees that time of the morning. So
big hook from Nicole there, and that's actually on the track, so got to watch that one.
Wow. So that has gone all the way over to the triple jump runway.
And Scott Thompson's thinking about being a hammer thrower, but only for a very short time.
Now, so that just shows the importance of needing to have those nets, as you say, across the sector on that one side where you can throw it outside of the sector.
And when those things hit the track, they're flying, and
yeah,
if they hit on the fall, they'll bounce a long way. Not happy with that one. She stepped out the front.
So this is round 2 for the women. The men have done 2 rounds as well. So we started with the men, and that was the final throw from the women from Iorana Tafili Tofafo.
A large number of fouls in the women's competition at this stage, so it'll be interesting to see how they can respond and get their technique back together. Someone like Nicole Bradley with 2 fouls in a row.
Yeah, same with Julia as well.
Yep.
So Lauren continues to lead that event with 67.96, and in the men it is Anthony Nobilo with that 59.05 and a backup throw of 58.86. Liam Nachok-Wolf is in second place with a 55.4, and on screen Max Abbott has a best of 47.84.
Now there's no pressure on the women throwers in terms of the third round here, because there's less than 8 competitors, or there's 9 competitors, the top ones will still have to do a performance to get 3 more throws, so a little bit of pressure there. But of course, if they were to make it to the Olympics and have 2 fouls, then all of a sudden the pressure's on for that third throw. And a number of athletes do come unstuck at a place like the Olympics with the qualifying.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when you think about all those years training and then it comes down to 3 throws in the circle and you've got to make at least one of them stick, that pressure on that final third throw must be huge.
So Nicole and Julia will need to register a performance better than the current bottom place performance. So then they've got that decision to make. Do they try and play it safe, or do they go for it?
So 47.04 from Max. He's been out around that 47 metre mark. His best is 47.84. So this is round 3, remember, for the men. And Hanor Nell, one of the local boys. There's a lot of locals taking part in this competition tonight. And here he goes. He has hit a 47.9 so far this weekend. I don't think that one's going to challenge that.
You can definitely see the difference with the experienced athletes in this event compared to those who are still developing their technique. So you can see a bit tentative, starts off well in the back of the circle, but then not in full control of the hammer to be able to then accelerate and throw with maximum velocity at the end. And a good comparison here will be seeing Anthony Nobilo throw, a far more experienced thrower. And so you'll see a lot smoother transition through and building of speed before the throw.
So the New Zealand record for this set by Angus Cooper way back in 1994. And that is 73 metres, 0.10. So Anthony's best is 64.93, but he's been leading the country both this year and last, 2020 and 2019. And here he goes. Look at that good, strong technique. Really muscles that hammer. And that looks like it's out close to the 60 metre mark. Just fouling that one out.
Just not quite connecting. A term that's often used in throws, connecting with the implement, and that's why at the moment he's his best 58 and a bit, but he has thrown further, so it's an illustration that he hasn't quite connected, but he's still got 2 more rounds after this. And as with all athletes, I'll be hoping that the next opportunity to throw will be the opportunity that they actually take to do a performance, rather than worrying about, I haven't thrown very far. Oh, that means I'm not going to throw well on the next one. Well, not really the attitude you want to have.
Yeah. Caleb Sola. Yeah, so connecting with the throw, that's an interesting term. And so can you sort of elaborate on that? Is it getting all the processes in a row and feeling like you're everything's, the chain of events leading up to the release of the hammer is all in place?
Yeah, you're wanting a level of fluency through your processes in the throw, from the preliminary swings to get you going, then into your initial first turn, and then the subsequent turns from that before putting it all together with your release. But you've done most of the work early on, and it's aligning everything, and that's what develops that connection.
So Liam Narchuk-Wolf on screen there, just composing himself before he goes into the circle. One of our Papakura throwers. And there's a good number of throwers coming out of South Auckland at the moment. great to see.
We've always had good throwers come out of South Auckland, but not in big numbers. You know, you get the Beatrice Famuina, Valerie, but with the initiatives way back in 29, I think it was, when I first came back, the Throws for Gold program, and as a starting point for looking at the South Auckland area and trying to unearth those gems that we know exist there.
Oh, just losing control of that one. And we sort of saw that just as he got past those preliminary swings, just slightly off balance. With his
that's where you can see him starting to lose it. The foot that lifts up has got to get down on the ground again quickly. If it delays, then all of a sudden the base becomes wide, but your ability to rotate around the foot that's in contact with the ground is lost, and you saw he started getting more and more sideways, and then was beyond control.
Yeah. All right. Back to Lauren Bruce, our competition leader, national champ, Oceania champ. This is round 3. This is a crucial one for a lot of these ladies who don't have a mark on the board at the moment. That won't be too much of a concern here, but Lauren will be wanting to try and extend that lead that she's currently got. And this is out of the circle cleanly. It's out very close to 70 metres. And that looks like it could be a new competition leader.
So a better connection, but you can see she's not satisfied with it yet. And her throws more towards the centre of the sector, which is where she wants them to be. So that's pretty close to spot on 70 metres if the lines are any indication.
And just the speed she's able to generate in those last few rotations, and then just whips that hammer out.
So again, she's wanting to, as I say, when the ball's at its highest point, she wants to stay down, and she doesn't want to be pulled down to the ground when the hammerhead swings on at the bottom of its pendulum of swing. So
there we go, 69.83. That's the new competition lead.
So she's still not hitting it the way she wants, hence the look of slight frustration on her face, but it's moving in the right direction.
And it definitely lays out the challenge for Julia, who still hasn't got a mark on the board. So will she be just looking to get something out that's okay and get a little safe
she'll
one
want
under the
something
board?
that's okay to give her another 3 throws, but as I said, if she's too tentative, then the risk is she'll throw into the cage and won't register. You've just got to go for it.
All right, Lexi Maples with her third throw.
Connecting with the concrete rather than the hammer on that one. Yeah, just hesitating before the final touchdown before release, and in doing that, as I said, the hammer takes control rather than the athlete.
So Julia just going through her processes in her mind. I imagine just doing those visualization techniques of all the little steps that need to happen. You've done this thousands of times in practice, and it's just about replicating those same movements that you've been working on in the gym, and
focusing on the cues that make things happen, that the words that the athletes develop, which triggers the right sort of physical behaviour, and that's what she'll be doing now. Focusing in on those, and again, as I said, not worrying about whether this is the first, the third, or the 6th throw. This is the throw that she wants to throw a long way, and that's the attitude she has to take to it.
Okay, so this is third round throw. She doesn't have a mark on the board here, so this is a critical throw. She needs to get something on the board in order to make it through to the next round. Here she goes. Julia Ratcliffe, former New Zealand record holder. Can she stay in the circle?
Ooh, it's a foul.
Well, it's a foul, and she looks at that and thinks, what happened? What happened there? So the Julia battle with Lauren Bruce that we've been hyping up for the summer has a bit of a fizzer because I imagine she's not going to make it through. Or
well, it's an interesting one. If Nicole goes and does a foul as well, does that mean they're both 8th equal?
Yeah.
With no performance?
This is an interesting one.
So it will be interesting to see what the officials...
Does one get through by sweet talking the officials?
Well, it's normally be 8th then ties, and then the tiebreaker would be the next best throw. But of course, if they've done 3 fouls, and I haven't got my World Athletics rule book with me, but it will be interesting to see what's done. But of course, it'll be a moot point if Nicole goes and throws a distance. Actually, there's a third athlete who's also in jeopardy.
So Elizabeth Hewitt still hasn't got a mark on the board. And Centane Noom Duckworth. She's got a best today of 46.89. And that looks like it's probably in the low 40s from my eye on it. Thankfully, we do have the paint markings helping us get a slight gauge on where they are.
Of course, the days of the measuring tape are virtually gone. Now they use the EDM, the electronic distance measurer. But the thing is that if it's a record, they still get the tape out, but of course it's a steel tape.
So Nadia Kumarich has a 41.75. That was in round 1. Here she goes for her final round, round 3 throw.
Falling back on that one a wee bit, so again the head of the hammer getting ahead, and the hammer head goes one way, that means she goes the other way.
So she's in 4th place, so she'll definitely go through to the next round. And this is Elizabeth Hewitt, who also doesn't have a mark on the board. So Julia Ratcliffe has 3 no distances. Nicole Bradley's got 2 with one more throw to come. And Elizabeth Hewitt has 2 no distances as well. So,
and Elizabeth Hewitt, daughter of ex-All Black Norm Hewitt.
Ah, nice one. This is the great thing about New Zealand sport. Often when you see these well-known last names, they pop up in the next generation.
Yeah, sons and daughters of. There's a lot of them around in athletics.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily the same sport that their parents were in. In fact, often their parents try to discourage them from being in that same sport.
Yep.
Takes the pressure off a little.
Into the cage.
Wow, so this is interesting. So now we have definitely 8th and 9th place are equal on no distance recorded. And this looks like all sorts of logistical challenges with hammers getting stuck in the net. So we're going to have to see how the officials are going to split this one without the World Athletics rule book in front of us. I say just let them all through, but there's a reason why I don't write the rules. So from the Papakura Athletics Club, Caitlin Shepperson has a best of 33.42, which she did in the first round. And manages to stay in and gets a white flag. Yes, gets a white flag. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, to this coverage here on Sky Sport Next. It's great to have your company as we cover this hammer throw competition. The first of the streamed events today. We did have the race walk very early this morning. I wasn't at the track that early, but where we had a New Zealand record in the 20,000 metre walk, the track event set by Alana Barber, walking 1:37. And then we had the javelin, which was taken out by Tori Peters with a 56.25, and Caleb Solar taking out the men's event with a 44.84.
Nicole Bradley, ooh, that's going to be close. No, that's a foul as well.
That's out. So we've got 3 fouls. Incredible. We've got 3 athletes who have had no distance recorded for their first 3 throws, but we've got 9 athletes in this event. We need to cull it down to 8. So
we have 3 athletes on 7th equal with no performance. So it'll be up to the officials to decide how the rules are applied.
They toss a coin.
Well,
paper, scissors, rock.
Well, there's no count back because their best performance is 0. Their count back performance is 0. They're dead equal. So they should all go through if that's the basis. But if the ruling is based on them having needed to do a performance, then of course all 3 would miss out.
Now with those 3 athletes having, and you pointed out before the number of X's on the scoreboard that we can see in front of us, is that wind just affecting them? I mean, where we are in the grandstand, it's nice and sheltered, but the wind sort of pokes out the side of the grandstand and just runs head on into that hammer circle. So I don't know if that's just leading to a few issues in the circle.
Yeah, it may be affecting their balance slightly, but all good athletes can deal with conditions sufficiently to perform.
Yeah, they're all New Zealanders. They all train.
Yeah, it's not like we don't have wind most days. Yeah. Sometimes there's you could call it a disease in a competition where 1 athlete, 2 athletes start to have issues, and then the rest of the field almost catch it like they caught a cold. And sometimes a trigger for that is a number of athletes thinking they've got a chance.
Right. And just sort of pushing it a bit too far,
and just
relaxing a bit.
They think they've got a chance, and so that's what they're concentrating on, rather than just do the performance, let the placings sort themselves out.
Yeah.
83 metres, 69.83. Next is Links Maples at 49.01. Champagne Moon Duckworth at 46.89.
So we can confirm the top 3 in the women's hammer throw. Lauren Bruce with that 69.83, and then Lexi Maples is in second place with that 49.01, and then in third place is Centane Noom Duckworth with her first round throw of 46.89.
I think they're trying to extract a hammer from the cage at the moment, either that or they're trying to tie it back again. Because one of the issues with a strong wind in a cage like this is that it billows into the area
path of
and could get in the way of the path of the hammer.
Yeah, so look at all those X's on screen there. So you can see how a few of our throwers have found it pretty tricky, with Nicole Bradley, Elizabeth Hewitt, Julia Ratcliffe all recording no distances so far. We still haven't had word on how we're going to split the field, whether we are or not, or whether these 3 have to go home empty-handed. And yeah, it looks like they are tying it back on. And we did see there's Dale, the man himself, up there doing the hard yards.
Obviously, it's less important to lose a coach to an accident than it is an official. He's done his knock course. He must have been a Boy Scout at some stage.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I would hate the pressure right now of retaining a man card, of being able to handle tying a net to a pole.
Charlotte
I
dribble.
got to say, I didn't.
So they may have, one of the reasons for that throw we saw of Nicole's, I think, that went onto the track, perhaps the netting had shifted away from the post, and perhaps she threw between the net and the post, and that's why it went onto the track. Because normally, if the gates have been closed,
Yeah.
the hammer shouldn't be able to go out that far to the left.
Yep. So perfect scenes here at Mitre 10 Park. In the Hawke's Bay sunshine, it's nice and warm. It's a great afternoon for watching athletics, and we've got a good array of food trucks and coffee carts to keep everyone fed and fueled for an action-packed afternoon.
And evening.
Yeah, so we'll be going, I think the live stream will finish up around 8 o'clock. The last event kicking off at 7:40. That'll be the senior men's 3K. But yeah, the key events on the track are the 100 metres. So we've got 2 rounds of the 100 metres. We've got 400 metres hurdles and 400 flats. We've got 800 metre events, and then the national champs, senior women, senior men, 3,000 metres.
And looking at that 100 metre situation, it's great that there are qualifying heats to make the final, which of course gives athletes the experience of trying to qualify for a final.
Yeah, cool.
And obviously the likes of Eddie O'Shea, Nkecha and Joseph Miller, for them it'll just be a preparatory run, but for others it's a chance to get and mix it with the best in the final.
Dale Stevenson doing a fantastic job getting up very high. You said they're about 10 metres high, so I want to say he's a good 8 metres in the air there. Right on the top rung of the ladder. Definitely taking one for the team is Dale, but I imagine he's done this a few times.
Being a throws coach, you tend to get quite familiar with cages, and especially with in Christchurch with the setting up of the new stadium at Ngapunawai. There was brand new cages, and Dale was involved in helping put those up.
Cool.
So you need to know all of your equipment, not just the things they throw.
Now, what's Dale's background? Was he a hammer thrower
Shot putter.
primarily?
Shot put, Commonwealth Games medalist in the shot put, 20 metre shot put.
I should have known
throw.
that.
I think it was Delhi he got his bronze medal.
Yeah.
Teaching background, and obviously coaching.
Yeah, doing a great job with that crew down in Christchurch. Obviously headed up by Tom Walsh. Job well done there with the nets. Everything's tied back. So, of course, all the men will go straight through to the final 3 rounds with only, six men lining up in the shot put, 5 men.
5.
So Anthony Nobilo leading that competition. You can see him there in the blue. And again, we talked about the average age being 21 for the women's competition. Average age for the men's competition is probably about 18.
There's 3 17-year-olds, an 18 and a 21-year-old, yes. So it's a young group, and the hope is, of course, that they will move along together as a group and push each other onto higher levels. At the moment being led by the aged 21-year-old Anthony Nobilo. Should be hopefully drag the rest through.
Anthony Nobilo, do you think he's any relation of the golfer?
I don't think so, but it's not beyond the realms.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sure he can hit a golf ball though.
Yeah.
There's a good link between hammer throwing and golf. That point I made before that Dale Stevenson made to me about on the downswing, the head of the hammer, the ball of the hammer being right down the middle. The same applies with golf, of course. That the face of the club needs to be at the bottom of the downswing, needs to be square.
Yeah.
And so there, again, crossovers in sports.
Yeah, good crossovers. I'd love to see some of these big boys in on a driving range.
Well, I know that Dale and Tom are avid golf fans.
Yeah.
And play regularly, and I would imagine that someone like Tom could make the ball go quite a long way off the tee.
We need to set this up for the Monday of National Champs, maybe a bit of a...
Longest drive competition?
Yeah, longest drive competition. And we could see, split everyone into event groups, the throwers versus the jumpers versus the runners.
Yeah. Well, of course, Nick Willis is a very good golfer.
Yes, yeah.
Speed golfer at that.
Yeah, known for his speed golf. Yep, we've had a New Zealand record holder in the speed golf. Brad, if you're watching, good to have you tuned in.
Well, our head of selectors, Graham Seater, who was a Commonwealth Games World Champs level race walker, claims to actually have the speed golf record because he didn't run.
Oh, right.
Because he walked very quickly around the course.
Sounds like my sort of golf. So just a little break in the action as we go from round 3 into round 4, the business end, and maybe a little bit of paperwork to sort out who is staying in. We still haven't had word on...
I think they've been having a bit of a officials discussion. See the chief official walking back over to the hammer circle.
I imagine this is a rare situation where you've got 9 competitors in the women's competition, but your bottom 3 you've got no marks. So I imagine that's quite a rare situation to have.
Yeah.
So you've got to go deep into the rules book. All right, Caleb Solar. He's in 5th position in this competition. Won the javelin earlier in the day. Not impressed with that one. That one moves out of the sector.
One of the issues that these hammer throwers have is, like I said, dealing with the weight of the hammer and fighting the desire to pull with their arms on the hammer. As soon as that happens, it reduces the range of swing of the hammer, and they're more likely then to hook, as we just saw that throw there, rather than keeping as long as possible. They want nice long arms and the hammer head as far away from them as possible as they spin round.
And that would be right through to release, so you want nice long arms. So you're really relying on the momentum that you can create with those rotations.
Comes back to that comment I made about you're trying to control the hammer. You're not wanting the hammer to control you, and or being in a situation where in trying to control the hammer you actually disadvantage the mechanical advantage that can be had by having long arms.
Yeah, so what is the best situation? Do you want long arms?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, there's a set distance.
So that wider circle.
Yeah, there's a set distance for the length of the wire on the hammer. I think it's something like 191.2 centimetres for a 726 and 189 for a woman's one. There's somewhere around there. So that's set.
Yep.
That isn't going to change. But the longer the better. So long arms, very useful.
Okay, Max Abbott. And is that one just out of bounds? It is.
Again, letting the hammerhead get ahead. And you can see, because of that, it throws him backwards. And then when he's trying to apply his force against the ground rather than pushing it forward, he's being thrown backwards.
Yeah, so Max Abbott was the National Secondary Schools champ in the discus. So slightly different action, of course, to the hammer throw. But those same sort of rotational strengths.
yeah, the laws of physics apply
Yeah, across the
board.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Potts Track and Field Classic. Just a quick call for those place getters in the triple jump competition, both men's and women's.
So Hano Nell, the local boy from Hastings, he'll know this circle very well.
Very much appreciated.
Be very familiar with the wind and weather conditions. Here's his round 4 throw as his hat flies off, and that's gone out of bounds as well.
And he fell out to the left as he delivered the hammer. That's what was causing the hook.
What are your thoughts on wearing a hat in the ring?
Not a fan. I think the last person I was impressed by wearing a cap was Dave Wattle at the Olympics in 1968,
yeah.
And even then I thought it was a bit dodgy.
Yeah, seemed to work for him. If you want a great video to watch while you're killing some time on YouTube, definitely look up Dave Wattle's close in that 800 metres, because it's one of the classic examples of patience in a middle distance race. Here is the New Zealand Secondary Schools champ, now using the senior implement, Liam Nachok Wolf. Got the hair tied up. The lefty, and again we saw him in the last round just lose his balance.
So you can see his base of support, and as he contacts the circle, becomes wider and wider, and so rather than swinging around a more vertical axis of rotation, it becomes angled and then goes forward and back and forward and back, and in the end you just can't control the force of the hammer.
So these guys are up, what, 7.5 kg for the...
7.26, yeah.
7.26. And off the top of your head, what are the high school...
5,
yeah.
I think it is, for secondary schools.
So that's significant difference.
Yeah. It's almost a third heavier again, or almost half heavier again.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. And so will that be the challenge for a lot of these guys? I mean, Anthony Nobelo's the only senior in this field. So a lot of these other guys will have been practicing with that junior implement into the run-in to national secondaries.
Yes, definitely. That would be it. I mean, this would be an exception for them throwing with a heavy implement in a competition, but again, it's used in training.
So national champ here, Anthony Nobelo, round 4 throw, and that is
close to 60.
Yeah, so it'll be close to his best of 59.05. She did in round 1.
Of course, the other thing about the situation in the women's competition is that if those 3 athletes have been carried through to the next round with being the worst performances, they will throw first.
Yes.
And Lauren, of course, currently leading, will be the last thrower.
So we will be able to see how the officials have worked this little complicated scenario out. So 59.13 adds 8 centimetres to his best for the day. Anthony Nobelo, he has been out around that 64 metre mark is his best. Yeah, so 64.93. So it's still 5 metres off that, but of course early in the season.
I have a feeling that I can still see Julia sitting there, but as I said, if she's got no performance, she should be throwing first. But she doesn't appear to be the first thrower in the 4th round.
Yeah, so that is Caitlin Shepperson. And so we have a best for her of 33.42. So
maybe they haven't reversed the order because she was first up in the competition anyway.
She would also be in 6th place.
Oh, so the others may not have made it through because, as we said, out of 9, 3 with no distance, leaves 6.
So yeah, maybe we've dropped off our
2 of our top 3.
Yeah. So we're down to 6 athletes then. So that's a shame as far as the competition, the Julia Lauren battle that we were hoping to see today. But it is Lauren Bruce who leads the competition and gives these ladies a chance to have the spotlight on them.
The other aspect, of course, is that these are ranking points available today, and if they don't place with a distance, then there's no points.
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
Hopefully it doesn't, but that will have an impact on their rankings.
So Iorana Tawhili Tawhafo with her 4th round throw. She's got a best of 38.80. And yes, this event obviously is the first of the classic series. So how the New Zealand summer works, for those who kind of don't know how athletics operates, the elite end of the summer season is these classic series. We've got Potts Classic, we've got Porritt Classic in Auckland, we've got Cook's Classic in Wanganui, Capital Classic, which is next weekend.
So the order goes next weekend is Cook's, then follows that with the ITM.
Yep.
Which is
in
at that level.
International Track Meet.
And then the Porritt follows that on the 13th. The 20th is Capital, and then the Sir Graham Douglas on the 27th, the week before Nationals. So it's just constant.
And that's a slight level up in terms of the points so
for
Sir Graham Douglas?
They have levels. This is a D level, I think, which sets the number of points gained for a win.
Yeah.
And then the next level up, obviously, is a C, and then B level ones.
And then the big one, of course, is the first weekend of March back here in the Hawke's Bay for the national champs, and that'll be 3 weekends long. And here we've got, is this the triple jump?
Title winner for 2021 with a jump of 13.98, representing Auckland City Athletics, Scott Colson.
So Scott Colson taking out the win there from Charles Annals and Jamie Kearns. So
Scott's been a constant in New Zealand triple jumping the last decade and more. He holds the probably unenviable record of having 8 silver medals in national championships and never having one.
Wow.
It's not necessarily a reflection on him, but we've had some very good athletes, and he just hasn't been able to get past the finish line. But another season, another chance.
Yeah, this year could be it. All right, so continuing round 4, this is Centane Noom Duckworth.
Women's triple jump, once again, being presented by Richard Potts. And in 3rd place, with a jump of 10.48, representing Tauranga Athletics, Charlotte Treble.
And getting the red flag on that one.
In 2nd place, with a jump of 11 metres, representing Hamilton City Hawks, Alessandra McDonald.
So Alessandra McDonald picking up 2nd place there in the women's triple jump with a jump of 11 metres. And the winner will be Anna Thompson.
Sister of?
I don't know. Who,
yeah, sister of Scott, yep. And coached by their dad, Richard.
Right.
And that's not a bad jump from her. It's only 30 centimetres below her personal best.
And only a metre behind her brother.
Sorry, she's got a 12.95 in there, which would be a personal best if it was legal.
Yeah, we haven't.
Lexi Maples, maybe over 50 there.
Yeah, good solid throw there from Lexi. She's had a good day. Yeah, we haven't had any wind readings from the field. We'll try and get an update on what the wind meters are reading, but I imagine it won't be too crazy. Probably a crosswind, if anything, for the triple jumpers.
Yeah, maybe a cross tail, and again, it's bit of luck as to whether it's more cross or whether it's more tail when they jump.
Yeah. So 49.66, that's a good solid throw there from Lexi. That'll improve her best today.
Well, when you consider her personal best going into this season was 44 metres, I think.
Wow, really?
She's moved up a level, concentrating on hammer.
All right, here's your competition winner, and if you've just tuned in hoping to catch Julia Ratcliffe and Nicole Bradley in action, they've been dropped from the competition, not getting any marks on the board for the first 3 rounds. So it is down to this woman on screen, your national record holder, Lauren Bruce. She's leading the competition with a 69.83. That will probably not quite threaten that one, but it's close to the 70 metre mark. She's been consistent today.
Yeah, another throw around the 69 metre mark. She's still not quite hitting it. Again, 12 months ago she would have been more than happy with a throw of 69 metres.
Yeah.
Shows how it can change with a year's training.
Great to get a little insight of those coach-athlete dynamics. Dale Stevenson, not just on hand to tie the nets to the poles, also there to offer that expert advice and go through those cues that need to be worked on. All right, we are into round 5 now. Caleb Sola, the winner of our javelin competition, now in the hammer throw in round 5, has a best of 44.66.
He may have improved on that one. Definitely better than the hook he did in the previous round. So he obviously had a bit more control of the hammer that time.
So, and I can tell you that Lauren Bruce's previous throw was 68.99, so that won't change her picture with a best of 69.83. And that was a 45.78, so you picked it. There was a good improvement for Caleb, moving up from 44.66, which he threw in the second round. And there's an update on the women's hammer results so far, with 2 rounds to come. And if you're wondering why we've scaled the field back to just 6 athletes, the other 3 missed the cut with no distances on the board. Everyone just sort of having a bit of difficulty today, just keeping that hammer in the sector. Quite a few have hit the nets, and we've even seen one go out onto the track.
Another instance of athlete losing control of the hammer and being thrown by it.
All right, Hanno Nell, he's in 3rd place at the moment, and he'll definitely want to be staying in that position. He's got a couple of athletes who are hot on his heels, so he's got a best of 47.9 In fourth place, Max Abbott with a 47.84. So only 6 centimetres in that particular competition. And as we just saw some of the poles coming out, and the officials are getting all the equipment set up for the pole vault, so that's going to be an exciting one, because finally we get to see Eliza McCartney in action after 18 months off with Achilles issues and all sorts of injury woes.
And they're actually moving the pole vault pit to the other end of the runway, so obviously a decision's been made that the wind isn't going to change from the direction it is at the moment, and pole vaulters want a tailwind. They don't want to be battling into a headwind, so that hence the crew there now dismantling the pole vault pit and shifting it to the other end of the runway.
Yeah, so the forecast was for light winds and sea breezes this afternoon. So we've had a sort of westerly all day, and we were thinking that sometime in the afternoon we might see that sea breeze just kick up. But so far the westerly's just kind of dominating things. It's kind of coming and going, so I imagine it'll be okay conditions for pole vaulting. But ideally you'd like absolutely zero winds and nice balmy conditions.
They like tailwinds. They definitely like tailwinds. Up to the
up to a certain point.
Well, yeah, up to a certain point, but then it's just too strong. But there's no 2 metre limit for pole vaulting.
Liam Narchok-Wolf struggling to stay in that circle. Big puff of dust as it hits the ground out beyond the 50 metre mark.
Won't challenge his best for the day at this stage.
Yeah, he was off to good start with a 55.40 in his opening, but in round 2 and round 3 he was really struggling to maintain control over that hammer, and there you see it again, just getting thrown to the side.
In a situation can happen in a throwing event where you almost start off too well, and you can never start too well, but starting off well and then not being able to emulate that as the rounds go on, and then you're struggling to try and get back to where you were when you started, and it becomes a bit of a downward spiral.
So 51.5. So
maybe that will set him up for a good 6th round.
Yeah. So here we have Anthony Nobilo, who's the veteran in this field at all of 21 years of age. Average age for the men's competition about 18, and average age for the women's competition about 21. So great to see these youthful fields. And look at this technique as he winds up, just accelerates across the circle. He lost at the latter stages of his throw. Good preliminary swing and entry into the throw, but as he tried to accelerate, he just lost control of it a wee bit, and the timing of the throw was lost. Sufficient control not to fall out the front though, but it's very small margins between a good throw and a less than sufficient throw. And you see the way there, just how, like you say, it's whipping, the hammer throw is whipping him from like trying to pull him down to trying to pull him up, and you're constantly fighting that. So you can only imagine with a just over 7 kg hammer trying to control your movements when you're spinning that fast.
And of course the effect of it when you're down swinging a 7.26 kg hammer, it's a lot heavier than 7.26 kgs that you're dealing with in terms of the force, which is why they have to be very strong.
So the throwers obviously pay attention to physics class in our high school.
Well, hopefully the coaches do.
Yeah. So Caitlin Shepperson with her 5th round throw. She improved her best in the previous round with a 36.2. I don't think that one there is going to improve her position. And then the rest of the field is up over the 40 metre mark now. with Nadia Kumaric in 5th place, I want to say. With maybe with in 4th place, sorry, and Iorana Tafili Tafafo with that 41.31 from the previous round. So here's Iorana.
Decent effort there.
Yeah, so she's hoping to improve on that 41.31. She'll have one more throw remaining after that one. And then on screen, Nadia Kumaric is in 3rd place. And all these athletes won't go home empty-handed, so top 3 in all the key events today do get a little training grant. So Nadia, looking at this field, coming into this, would not have been thinking she would be in 3rd place. But
certainly wouldn't be anticipating a payday.
Yeah, so she'll have at least her petrol covered for this journey. Well, maybe not from Auckland, maybe a night's accommodation covered. All right, here we go. Nadia Kumaric, round 5. Doesn't like that one.
It's a hook.
Gets the red flag. She'll have one more throw after this round. And now we're into our top 2. Oh, and I do have to correct myself. Nadia was actually sitting in 4th, wasn't she? Yeah. With Lexi Maples in 2nd with that 49.66. And this woman on screen, Centame Noon Duckworth, who is your National Secondary Schools champ. She's in 3rd position. So she's the one who'll be shouting everyone breakfast in the morning if she gets the payday.
That's a decent throw.
Yeah, so that marker you can see, that's the 50-metre marker. So with a best of 46.89, that was close. It will certainly be up around those 47-metre mark.
You can see the difference in the position she's in as she comes around her turn. She's still quite high. You compare that with the likes of Lauren and even Lexi, that they're able to hold that lower position as they control the hammer to swing it down again. So Lexi Maples and Lauren Bruce, training partners.
So Lexi currently in 2nd place with that 49.66. Can she get over 50 metres? This would be a stunning result for her. She's already got a PB on the board. And she featured well in the javelin earlier this afternoon. This is round 5. She's got 2 more throws. Let's see how she goes. Can she hit that 50-metre mark?
Yes, is the short answer to that one,
Yeah,
I think.
there we go. On screen, assuming that paint has been put in the right place. That's a good throw. She just continues to improve, this young lady. Lexi Maples opened with a 49.01. Her next throw was 43.24, and then no mark in round 3, and then had a 49.66, and that looks like it should start with a 5.
You can see there the hammer landing pretty much in the centre of the sector, and the way she's throwing at the moment, that's what she's wanting to have happen, because that means it's a wee bit like the golf shot. You know? If you hit it in the middle, it goes straight, and the hammer is pretty much the same.
There we go, 50.18.
Cracking that 50 metre mark is always a big positive for an athlete. Of course, the next major goal then is 60, a wee bit further away.
Yeah, so as I kind of look through the leaderboard for last year, for 2020, the rankings list, we had 8 women over the 50 metre mark, and in the previous year just 5. So hopefully that's a sign of just that depth coming up.
Yeah, steady progress and focus on the event. Ooh.
Here we go, getting close to 70 metres.
Under again. But that does set her up for a big effort in the 6th round. She's developed a bit of consistency in her throwing, so then it's just changing minor things now.
Yeah, constantly in those high 60s. So she opened up with that 67.96, then a no mark, then 69.83, which is the lead for the competition, and then a 68.99. And we'll wait and see what this one is. You see how they just whipped out. The speed that these hammers are exiting that cage, it's quite phenomenal. 69.11, so close. So she's had a few all around that 69 metre mark today.
Well, the good thing is that, you know, rounds 3, 4 and 5 have all been 69 plus. As I said, it's almost virtually 68.99. It's a good launch pad for an assault on the 6th round. Nothing to lose. You've got to go for it. So let's hope that she can.
All right, Caleb Sola, the lefty, the winner of the javelin competition, just losing his balance on that one. But he has a best today of 45.78 and gets the red flag on that occasion. So that's his day done and dusted in the hammer throw circle. So this men's competition is led by Anthony Nobilo. Can anyone get close to Anthony? He's got a 59.13 set in round 4. Liam Narchuk-Wolf is the only other to break 50 with his first round throw of 55.40. And then we've got these 3 other men in the 40s, with Caleb Sola on 45.78 and Hano Nell on 47.9, and Max Abbott just behind him with a 47.84. So he needs to improve by 7 centimetres on his best. That could be close. It could be very close.
It's in the high 40s. Very flat swing path. The better throwers have a wee bit steeper angle from
high to low.
Swing to, high to low. You want to create that.
And so is that kind of setting up the angle of the projection that you want the hammer to go?
Well, you can only accelerate the hammer on the downswing.
Right, yes.
You know, that's where you've got gravity helping you.
So you use that downswing to generate the rotational
generate
speed.
the speed.
Yeah.
And so if it's a flat swing, then the only way you can speed it up is by how hard you can push the ground.
Right,
so you're not using everything that's available to you.
Makes sense. Hanon Nell of Hastings Athletics Club currently sitting in that 2nd position. Sorry, third position. Oh, this looks good. It's just gone out of the
left
sector
again. Yep.
So he'll finish his competition on 3rd place. He won't leave empty-handed. Take a share of the prize money. So he'll be happy about that. And now we move over to the young Liam Narchuk-Wolf, the New Zealand Secondary Schools champ from December. Won double gold in that event with a silver in the discus as well. So certainly showing himself as one of the upcoming throwers to watch. And here is sitting in second place with that first round throw of 55.4. But all the 4 throws since then have just seen him sort of just losing that balance in the circle, kind of wrestling the hammer.
Was another factor here is that they actually do get tired.
Yeah.
Throwing 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that they're throwing 6 rounds, but there's quite long breaks between throws when you've got, in the first 3 rounds you had something like 14 throwers.
Yeah.
So it takes a while, and then there's physical and mental fatigue that goes on. And as a younger athlete, he won't have the same physical resources to be able to sustain that. Doesn't mean he's not capable, but you start losing certain things.
Oh yeah, and holds his balance a lot better this time, and so he's going to end on a high, and we'll have to wait and see if this is an improvement. It's certainly in those mid-50s, so he managed to hold on to that one much better in the circle.
So even though he fell away at the end, as I was saying, that base of support of 2-foot contact wasn't as wide, so he maintained a rotational speed around the vertical axis, which is what he wanted.
And let's have a look at this. If it's an improvement on his 55.4, not quite. It's 21 centimetres off at 55.19.
But another 55-metre throw, so he started on a 55 and finished on a 55, so not too bad.
Bookends his day in the hammer circle very nicely indeed, and he'll go home with a handy second place here at the Potts Track and Field Classic. But this is your competition winner. He's your national champ from 2019 and 2020. He is kicking off his summer of hammer throwing is Anthony Nobilo, the 21-year-old. Let's see how he can finish up. Just beautiful speed, and this looks like it's around the high 50s from my angle of view. I doubt that'll threaten his 59.13, which is his best. But Anthony Nobilo, he's your champ at the Potts Classic. We'll see a lot more of him this summer, and we'll see if anyone can challenge him as we head towards March back in this circle, when we'll be back in it's only about 6 weeks away now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's a little shake of the head.
So I think he knows he didn't quite hit it, despite throwing those 3 throws in the 59 range. He would have wanted more towards his PB, and so there'll be a sense of frustration, but there always is. Athletes are never satisfied with their performances, even after PBs, because it just makes them realise that they can do better.
I find especially with throwers, there's always the sense of, I could have thrown it further.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a national record, but I think I could have thrown it further. Yeah. All right, Caitlin Shepperson from Papakura.
He just moved further and further to the left of the circle. Her base was almost too small, and so the swing of the hammer down was taking her sideways.
Right. So she'll finish up her day in 6th place.
Just still probably higher than she was anticipating going into the competition.
Absolutely. So if you've just tuned into the coverage, it's great to have you here, bringing you the coverage from Mitre 10 Park in Hawke's Bay. This is the Potts Track and Field Classic in memory of Sylvia and Alan Potts. And Iorana Tafili to Fafo with a best of 41.31. She's been improving all day long. That one unlikely to improve her standing.
You could see by the finishing stance she had when she delivered the hammer there that she had lost the hammer and didn't get full extension in the release. She had her feet crossed over and the hammer had already gone before she got to the front.
So she'll finish in fourth place, but only 40 centimetres behind. She'll finish in fifth place, but only 40 centimetres behind the woman on screen, Nadja Kumrich from North Harbour Bays. Now, can she just edge closer to her teammate, Centane Noom Duckworth, who has a good solid best of 46.89. Centane's Nadja's best is 41.75. So let's see if she can improve on that in her final throw of the day. And nice warm sunshine. And it looked like it was a good release, but it's gone out of the sector.
Just pulled across, let the top hand come over the top of the bottom hand come over the top of the top hand and pulled across her body and hooked it round. You can see there the athlete thinking about her feet, even though the object she's wanting to throw is as far away from her feet as it could possibly be, her feet. And what she does with those is going to dictate how well she can heave that implement out.
It all starts from the feet, and it's incredible actually when you see those real-time footage of the top athletes, their footwork across the circle. They truly are the ballerinas of the track and field events.
Definitely, and when you are looking for athletes who could be good at hammer, if they can dance, that's a strong indicator.
And it looks like it's just out of the sector. We've seen a lot of that today, just hooking it round. So unfortunately for Centane Noom Duckworth, she's going to finish with an X in the column for round 3, but she'll finish in a very tidy third place, which I'm sure she would have taken at the start of the day.
Definitely. See if Lexi can top her day off and push it out even further than the 50 she finally hit in the last round.
Yeah, so Lexi Maples having a day of silvers, really. Silver medal, or second place in the javelin, and here she goes in the hammer throw. It's very close to the 50-metre mark.
The high 40s again. She'll be a bit disappointed because she came into this weekend with hopes of hitting a big PB. But again, this is probably the biggest competition that she's done.
Yeah.
So to be pushing out at PB level is a good effort.
All right, Lauren Bruce. She is the champion for today in the hammer throw circle. We were hoping for a good old Lauren-Julia battle. Unfortunately, Julia had 3 X's to her name in the first 3 rounds, which meant she didn't progress into the final 3 rounds. So it's allowed Lauren to have it all her own way and just be her versus the hammer throw, really. And she's been just consistently in those high 60s, throwing 3 throws around that.
I suspect this will either be an outstanding throw or the cage will ripple.
So you think she's ready to unleash?
She'll have a go.
So getting those clockwise spins going, releasing, and is it over 70 metres? It is.
Easily.
It's well over 70. So this is going to be fascinating as you said it, Terry. It's well over the 70-metre mark. How far over the 70-metre mark?
72 plus, I would say, looking at where they are. But, yeah, you could see a wee bit more intent. kept control better, good footwork.
She
And
gave that a good look as well.
Yep.
So
All
she-
about intent.
She knew it, released it very well. Just incredible speed that she generates. And let's have a look. 72 metres 28. So that's very close to Julia Ratcliffe's New Zealand record that she set here last year, 72.35. It's just
7 centimetres short of that.
yeah, and just over a metre short of her lifetime best that she set here back 3 months ago, 4 months ago now.
And it just shows how things can change with one throw. Had she not done that, she'd be walking away disappointed at not breaking 70 and not achieving what she wants. But with one throw, as I say, the difference between a good throw and a bad throw is just one throw. And that was illustrated pretty effectively there. And a former coach in the background, Ian Beard,
Great little
the
shot.
doyen of New Zealand throwing, you might say. Former coach of Tom Walsh as well. He's produced a large number of high-level athletes for New Zealand.
I've got to say, Dale Stevenson's not a small man, and seeing Laura next to her, she's doing some good work in the gym.
Yeah, she's definitely a strong athlete, and not just emphasis on strong, but athlete
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And she's developing physically very well for the event that she's doing.
Because this is the thing, in an event like this where it is about creating that momentum, it's you don't just want to be big and strong. You need to be, like you say, athletic and have that great footwork, great body awareness.
And she comes from a gymnastic background. So again,
Yeah.
what do you want your throws to be? You want them to be spatially aware, and gymnastics is obviously very good
Yeah.
for that, as well as strength, because it develops strength. But as I said, dances, you've got rhythm.
Yep.
So all those things contribute towards what's required. And there has to be a bit of natural to it as well.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this coverage of the hammer throw competition. We hope you've enjoyed it watching from home. Of course, you can go back and re-watch all this coverage whenever you like on the Sky Sports Next coverage. Here's what's coming up in the field. So from 4:30 we'll be bringing you the long jump, and then a lot of action to come on the track with 100s, 400s, 3,000 metre national champs. We've got a great fields lining up in the 800s as well. So be sure to tune in from 4:30. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with you all shortly. Ka kite anō.